Thursday Night Tailgate, where the spotlight is always on the positive. Tune in Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time to hear your favorite NFL legends, players, and coaches sharing their stories. Now back to Chris and Bob.
I wouldn't joke about anything else that happens here tonight.
All right, now back with us on the Kaiven Foods guest line, speaking about back on our team, is the great Dr. Jen Welter. Jen has been a wonderful friend of the show. You know, she's been with us going all the way back to 2012. You know, Jen's been, part of the show now for 5.5 years. And you look back when we first had her on the show, and she was a linebacker, an all-star linebacker for the Dallas Diamonds and the Women's Football Alliance back then. And you track her career, and it has just exploded since we first met Jen. And you talk about all the things that she's accomplished. 8-time All-Star when she was in the Women's Football Alliance, a 4-time world champion with the Dallas Diamonds, a 2-time gold medalist for Team USA in the Women's World Championships of Football, earned her doctorate degree in psychology. Jen broke the gender barrier in professional football. She was the first female non-kicker to play in a men's professional football team when she was a running back with the Texas Revolution in the Indoor Football League. Then she went out, did one better, right? First female coach in the NFL when she spent time with the Arizona Cardinals, and her Cardinals, coaching polo shirt can now be seen on display in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. She's got a new book out now titled Play Big, Lessons in Being Limitless from the First Woman to Coach in the NFL, and we are honored she is back with us again tonight here on Thursday Night Tailgate. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hi. Hey, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. How have you been? Things are going crazy for you. Good for you.
Oh, yeah, it's been a good time. I first want to say you can always tell when it's a linebacker on the phone, because there's just something about linebackers that can't be replicated.
Indeed.
We are the crazy ones, and I wouldn't have it any other way,
So,
yes,
Jen, talk about your new book. What got you to write a book?
I wanted to write a book for a while, and I kept journals when I was playing in women's football about some of the stories, and it always resonated to me how, when no one really knew what it was like in women's football. And so to be able to go from, being an undersized, underestimated athlete my whole career to actually finding my place in the least likely of places. I just thought it was a timely story to tell, and hopefully it gives everybody a whole lot of hope and motivation who picks it up.
And Jen, I'm curious. You're sort of now you're the Jen Welter, right? You're not just Dr. Jen Welter. You're not just Jen Welter. You're sort of the Jen Welter now, right? You got this persona, right? It's life. It's got to be difficult for you, right? Because I would imagine with the the stature that you have, and where you are as being a person who is kind of broken through, or at least cracked the glass ceiling in professional football, right? Do you have to be very careful about the things you do and say, because it's not just, like I say, it's not just coming from Jen Welter. Whatever you say now, whatever you put out on social media is going to get scrutinized. It's going to be heavily looked at. You got lots of followers. Do you have to be careful about the things you do and say?
I think anytime you realize that you're a leader in our society, you have to be cognizant that the impact of what you do and what you say is not only yours anymore. And that it resonates with a whole lot of people. And, I look at it as an opportunity to set a standard. So, yes, it is difficult. I mean, sometimes you want to, roll your head and be able to kick your shoes off and just say, I can't even believe this is going on. And then you also have to look at it and be like, everything you say has not only power, but it impacts all the other women in the game and all of the people who have believed in me and bet on me, and I always want to represent them really well and hopefully continue to open up opportunities. So it is a lot, but it's, one of my coaches who I coached with at the Revolution, Devin Wyman, the other day, he's got this great way of putting things in perspective, and we were just catching up, and he said, Jen, I thought about you the other day, and I just sat back and I thought, God chose her for a reason. He's like, have you ever really just sat there and realized that? Like, you were chosen for a reason. And it's not easy, but you're the one who was put in that position. And it just kind of checked me, I guess, because we all have the temptation to get wrapped up in the things that are good or the things that are bad. And, that was a very just real statement. And I was like, you know what? Thank you for that. And just a reminder of, the good and the bad that comes with it.
And and it's interesting that you tell that story, because that's something that I wanted to ask you about. And I mean, you've been, pictures of you with former President Obama, right? You've been to the tops of the mountains, if you will. Do you ever, in your quiet moments, do you ever sit back and kind of think about what's happened to you over the last 5 or 6 years, where you were just a short time ago, and all the things that you've accomplished? Do you ever sit back and go, man, what a ride?
I think that's the hard thing about reaching pinnacles like that, is I have this philosophy that puts a lot of pressure on me in that way. And I never wanted to live my life in the rearview mirror, meaning being defined by what I was, but rather to look forward to what I can do. And so those things are amazing and they're great, and it kind of blows me away at times. I think, oh my gosh, I can't believe that even happened. But at the same time, I don't want to live and be defined by that stuff. What I want to always do is to look and see where I can contribute more in the future. I think it's too easy to get caught up in those things and not realize, like I do, that with success, there's oftentimes like this success hangover, right? Because you do big things and then everybody's like, okay, and what next? And you're like, oh my gosh, that was just yesterday. Like, is it okay if I like look at maybe next week? No, there's no vacation. And it's not like you get a day off from being yourself. People, oh, Jen, you work hard. When do you take a vacation? And I'm like, the day I can be not Jen Welter. Right.
Wow.
But I love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I put that, I think that pressure, and it's not even pressure in a bad way. It's that responsibility on my shoulders, and say, if I was chosen to be in this position, it's a huge honor, and I want to be able to do as much good and help as many people from that vantage point as possible. And my biggest frustration with myself is always, I feel like I could do more.
Bob, questions for Jen?
Great to speak with you again, Jen. I'm going to stay on that same topic because it seems like we have a theme tonight of motivational people. And you're in a position, Jen, not only with just young women, youngsters all over. I'm sure you can embrace this opportunity. When things slow down a little bit for you, do you think that speaking to like young people, Jen, and motivating them, and because God knows they need it, is this going to be something you're probably going to be able to really sink your teeth in?
Oh yeah. I love any time I have a chance to get in front of both young people and people my own age, to show them that more is possible. Right? I love speaking to groups. We did, just on the 6th, I spoke to about 400 girls in Bakersfield, California, and they were all like the leaders in their high schools who got to come out, and we set up this amazing day for them where they got, a T-shirt to remember the occasion, and it had like a quote on the back from me, and they all got a copy of my book, and I got to kind of share a lot of my story, and the fact that it's not always polished, perfect, and pretty, and sometimes greatness in life doesn't fit within a 5-year plan. I would tell anybody, generally I have a 5-minute plan. Hopefully I have a 5-hour plan. On a good week, I have a 5-day plan. And, if we're getting really ambitious, we can start talking about 5 weeks and 5 months. But because, when you're a first, there's not somebody that you can set an ultimate goal and work backwards from it. You're the one pushing the envelope and having to create those things and take opportunities as they come. And I think that that's sometimes a refreshing message, because I don't know about you guys, but the 5-year plan question has always made me really nervous. And now I can actually speak to people and say, you don't have to have a perfect plan in order to be perfectly successful or happy in life. You have to more look at what area it is that you want to achieve greatness in, and continuously take steps in that direction, and also realize that the missteps come with lessons too. And with that mentality, I think a lot more people have the opportunity to accomplish great things and enjoy the process, because too often we feel like, I'm going to be happy when I achieve this 5-year goal. Well, goodness, I'd rather be happy all of those 5 years, success, and yet still move from there.
And Jen, I want to get your opinion of, we've asked this to many guests on the show, including tonight, about your own athleticism. And back in the day, most of our guests have told us pretty much that they do promote being involved in many different sports to become a better athlete in their own certain chosen profession. Tell us about your older days as far as participating, and if doing all the different things made you a better football player.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I didn't get to play football until I was 22 years old. Mm-hmm. So if I hadn't played other sports, there's no telling, right, on how I would have been at that point. And, I loved being active. I did a lot of different things. And I think you take something from each one of those. And, it was actually my part-time job in high school and through college to teach aerobics. So I was always very active and doing a whole lot of different things. And it also taught me to motivate others and to push myself, because I wanted to be a great example. But I never was able to play football to be a football player. So everything that I learned in the game that eventually allowed me to make my first football team came from somewhere else. And, if we piggyback on my PhD in psychology, the way I would also encourage parents is to realize that specialization can be okay, and certain sports, they require early specialization to be successful. So when you look at the research and it says you need to specialize early, sometimes it gets skewed, because in certain sports you do, right? If you're going to be an Olympic gymnast, for example, you're competing in the Olympics when you're a teenager, okay? But and so you have to develop those skills early, and generally you have to be laser focused in order to be great enough to compete at that level, because it's such an early age, right? However, the problem with that, especially when you come to other sports, right, such as team sports, is if you specialize that early, you may or may not be specializing in the right sport, number one, the right position, number two, because you don't know what the growth factors are going to be. And also, you get a higher incidence of burnout because you're so hyper-focused, and it's not necessarily an advantage when you're younger, because if you stop seeing a future, then you may stop playing it. And if you make it so serious that it's no longer fun, you also might self-select out. So for parents who are looking at, how do I help my child achieve greatness, know what the cycle of sport is. And if the lifespan is something like football, realize there are a whole lot of contributing factors that you can get from other sports. For example, playing basketball is a great crossover sport for a receiver, a tight end, somebody who wants to develop those nice soft hands, because you catch the ball many more times in basketball than you do in football, right? So you have to develop that acuity, and that will translate into the sport. And also, if you're a defender, you have to read and react on a very regular basis and learn to have good feet in basketball, which also translates to football. So don't feel like if you're not specialized, you're missing out, but make sure that your kids are really active and developing those skills at a very young age.
Jen, before we let you go, let our listeners know, how can they catch up with you? Are you going to be making appearances, book signings, all of that sort of thing, and stay up to date with you as well online and on social media?
Yeah, my website is jenwelter.com. I'm also Dr. Jen Welter on Facebook, either Dr. Jen Welter or Jen Welter on LinkedIn. Instagram is Welter47, and Twitter is at jwelter47. And you can keep up with a lot of the things I'm doing there. The next time you can catch me, I'll actually be on Today tomorrow with Megan Kelly. So that'll be fun. And then Monday and Tuesday, I'm doing stuff at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So if you're in the Canton area, you should come out. We're doing a great event. You can find out more information about that on their website. And then also something really cool that I encourage people to check out is I just launched a 12-city tour of flag football camps for girls in partnership with the NFL Alumni National. And this is very close to my heart because I wanted the girls who were playing to have access to some of the heroes they saw play on Sunday, but also the great female coaches in the game. And if you haven't played before, this is your opportunity to get in the game with some of the greatest and just try it out. So a lot of good projects that I'm really excited about. And please definitely pick up Play Big. It's in all the major retailers. And if you walk into their bookstore and you don't have it, you need to tell them that they need to get it because to me it's really an important story to tell because there aren't enough women in the football aisle. And hopefully this will prove the model that women in football is an important component to the game.
There you go. Jen, it's always a privilege for Bob and I to get to spend some time with you. Thanks for coming back on the show tonight. You're a great guest, a great athlete, and a 10 times better person. We can't thank you enough for your time.
Anytime, guys. You know I love you. I'll be back anytime you need me.
I appreciate it, Jen. All the best to you and your family. All the best with the book. We look forward to catching up with you again real soon, Jen.
Take care, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
That is Dr. Jen Welter, and a finer individual, Bob, you will not find, and just a wonderful inspiration and a great lady, and someone very important, sending out a very important message to not just girls and to women, but to all of us. She's been an inspiration to a lot of folks, and she's doing a great job. And boy, we just wish her continued success.
Yeah, she's running with it too, Chris, as far as her power of motivating and everything, and she can really make a difference throughout her life, and it's exciting to see where she next takes her talents.
Yeah, it really does, and it's been such a pleasure watching her career just explode over the last 5 years since we've met her, and boy, we just can't thank her enough for being a great friend and coming back as often as she has, and we look forward to catching up with her hopefully again real soon because she just continues to do better and better and greater things. So,
Amen.
Dr. Jen Welter, we look forward to having her back on the show. All right, we've got our next guest, Gift Ibalu, hanging on the line. We're going to get to him right on the other side of this quick station break.